Hello, lovely humans. It's been a hot minute. I'll make a video about that later. Today, we're going to talk about the books that I managed to cram into August. This month is August. Not anymore, it's September now. We're off to a good start. So I read 17 books in August, which I thought was really good because I haven't been reading hardly at all. Gotta catch up. And I was also on vacation. Generally my goal on vacation is just to read. I think how we're gonna approach this, so that this is not like an hour long and boring, is I'll just give you a little tiny bit about the books and a little tiny bit about what my thoughts were. We'll just leave it at that. I separated them into some sections. I was going to do it in the order in which I read them, but I think the sections will go much faster. I realize I should probably have Goodreads ready because I don't remember what I rated all of these. Let's start this so that I can make this as short and painless as possible. So my first section is unnamed. They don't really fit in with anything. Excuse me while I drop everything. I have The Dogs by Alan Stratton, which is a middle grade thriller with a small paranormal element to it, and I gave this 4 stars. I don't usually read middle grade, but I have this very sweet student who, whenever she clears off her little bookshelf, she picks out anything she thinks I might be interested in and gives it to me. I really enjoyed it. It was about a young boy and his mother who are on the run from an abusive father, and they move to a remote tiny town, live on a strange farm that seems to have a ghost boy on it. I enjoyed seeing the struggle of Cameron trying to sort out all of it. Then I had Stitching Snow, which is a young adult Snow White retelling in a science fiction type way, kind of in the vein of words. The Lunar Chronicles. There we go. I enjoyed how the 7 dwarfs were 7 droids, and I thought the romance part was kind of cute. I gave it 4 stars because I kind of went into it expecting it to be average, which it was. I felt like it resolved itself way too fast and way too easily. After everything that goes on throughout the entire book, it just kind of is oh, and then you're dead and we win. So I didn't really like that part very much, but the rest of it I enjoyed. It was a really good book to read on vacation when you're chill and not wanting to think too much. Oh, it's by R.C. Lewis. I didn't say that. Stitching Snow by R.C. Lewis. It's been a while. Last one in this section is Stranded by Melinda Braun, and I gave this 4 stars. Honestly, it was really unrealistic and kind of trashy, but I will forever read and enjoy young adult books where it is a group of teens stranded after some sort of natural disaster trying to find their way to safety. I just will forever enjoy this type of book, no matter how unrealistic some of the natural disasters are. A freak windstorm comes up out of nowhere and destroys their camp and kills the leader and a couple other people that were with them on this camping trip. And then all of a sudden there's this massive forest fire that they somehow outrun. So not really realistic, but I enjoyed it. I did find that one of the characters, what's his name? Nate, I think? Oscar? Isaac. I think it's Isaac. Whatever. I'm just pulling names out of the top of my head. I did find that Isaac was horrible, and not in a redeemable sort of way. The author kind of tried to make him redeemable near the end, but it just didn't work. He tries to rape the main character at one point, and I didn't like it, and I didn't think it was good. Message, imagery, I don't know. But yeah, still 4 stars because I'm trash for this sort of book. Next, I have poetry. Yesterday I Was the Moon by Noor Anahar, and this is a collection of modern poetry. I gave it 3 stars. It was not the best poetry that I've read. It just felt like a lot of it was I wrote a moody sentence and hit enter several times. I felt like I could have written this poetry collection, not talking like that. I could have written, wow, this poetry collection in like a weekend and had it ready to publish, so I just didn't connect with it, and I felt that it could have been a lot better. So more like 2.5 stars, but you know, Goodreads doesn't do half stars. So also have Sailing the Forest, selected poems by Robin Robertson, and I gave this 4 stars. 4 stars? Yes. 4 stars. It was weird. It was beautifully done poetry. It was odd. It's hard to describe. There's some poems in here that, like, after you read them, you realize that they're kind of like erotic poetry in nature, but you don't get that so much from the imagery that is chosen. Really, really interesting. Also, after reading a review for this, someone had linked to one of his YouTube videos, or a YouTube video of him reading one of the poems. And that is the way that you need to experience this poetry, because he just speaks it with such a beautiful cadence, and he just has such a low, like, rumbling voice. It was honestly gorgeous. I really enjoyed it. Then I had The Book of Sensations by Sherry D. Wilson, and I gave this 5 stars. I loved every moment of reading this. I actually spread it out over several days because I wanted to make it last longer, because it was just so gorgeous. I can't even like formulate thoughts on this because it was gorgeous, and it was so easy to read. As you were reading each stanza, it just flowed. Oh, and the other thing that I loved about this was that it read like the author had a dictionary in her head, which kind of sounds bad, but it wasn't all like elementary writing. It wasn't like a 3rd grader was writing this poetry. There was actually depth and interest in the words, and you could tell that like she'd written and rewritten and rewritten and chosen just the perfect words for each poem, and that was just, everyone should read this. My next grouping is wow, I finally read this. I'm not going to talk too much about these because neither one of them thrilled me. So we have Nearly Found by El Cosmetto, which is book 2 of the Nearly Gone duology, therefore no summary because no spoilers, but I really enjoyed book 1. I had given it 4 stars, and I read it last year sometime, and I had this one then and was going to read it right after, but I was very hesitant because I really enjoyed book 1. I thought it ended so well, and it just was such a lovely standalone, and I was scared that this one would not live up to book 1, and it didn't. I gave it 2 stars. Then, Blood Infernal by James Rollins and Rebecca Cantrell. It's taken me 8 months to read this fucking book. We all know I love James Rollins to the ends of the earth and back, and this series I did not like. So this was book 3 of the Order of the Sanguines trilogy, and I don't know, like, it read like a Rollins book, so at least there was the fact that there was constant action, it was moving very quick, but it goes back to what I was saying about the first book forever ago when I don't know, like 2-3 years ago when I read it. It just felt like each character basically has one backstory plot point that is the only thing that kind of shapes them the entire series, and that just grew very frustrating because I didn't connect with any of the characters. I found that none of them really grew at all. They became more and more frustrating as the series went on, and by now we all know how I feel about vampires. Though 2.5 stars, which translates to 3 stars. But I'm not even sorry that that happened. While I was on vacation, I went to several used bookstores and bought a shit ton of books, and because I have struggled so much to read in the last couple months, I decided to pick up a whole bunch of Nora Roberts. Just like really totally mediocre romance, silly things where like you know the plot, You know how things are going to end up. It's just all the details that are different. So, I have a selection of those. I have The Witness, The Obsession, and Hidden Riches. You know, I enjoyed them. I gave this one 4 stars. I gave The Obsession 4 stars. And I gave The Witness 3 stars. These two, I got exactly what I wanted out of them. Like, it was an easy read. Like, they're kind of big, but they're very easy to read because, like, it's just a romance. I don't know how else to describe it. That's purely what it is. That's all I'm gonna say about those because, like, it's a Nora Roberts romance. It was fine. Then we have this one, which I gave 3 stars because, like, it is freaking long. It's like 16 pages, and the entire thing was the romance, pretty much. Like, there was a really strong kind of opening. It kind of talks about what happens to the main female character. I can't remember her name right now, and I don't care to figure it out. And I enjoyed that, but then the bad guy thread just kind of drops off after that part, and it's solely focused on the romance. And then all of a sudden at the end it's almost like, oh, maybe we should bring back in the bad guy part and resolve that, sort of. So I don't know, I gave it 3 stars, 2.5 to 3 stars, because, like, it was still a vacation read and I got what I wanted out of it, but it wasn't, like, good. Okay, last section. I was looking at these books and asking myself why the hell I bought them, because I don't like witchy books. And that's nothing against books with witches in them. People can enjoy them as much as they want. It just is not, it's like vampires. You can enjoy a book about vampires. It's just not something I personally have really connected with and enjoy reading from. So it's the same thing with witches. And I was looking at these books being like, you bought 2 trilogies, Molly. You bought 2 trilogies that are about witches. What were you thinking? I decided when I got back from vacation that I needed to read them now, this month, and if I didn't read them now, I probably was not going to read them at all. So I read them. The first trilogy is the Three Sisters Island trilogy. We have Dance Upon the Air, Heaven and Earth, and Face the Fire. So each of these books follows a different main character. So this one follows Nell, this one follows Ripley, and this one follows Mia. Nell is escaping from an abusive husband and ends up on the island kind of reconnecting with herself and then learning she's a witch. This one, Ripley is an angry person who meets a hot scientist. And then Mia reconnects with her old boyfriend. It's a second chance romance. I gave 3 stars, 3 stars, and 2 stars. I don't like second chance romances. It's just not for me. I'm sure there's plenty that are done well, but it's just not a storyline that I enjoy. So that's why that one was 2 stars. But also, I didn't like Mia as a character. I thought she was very know-it-all, and throughout the other 2 books, she would give very specific, like, you guys can't do this without your circle, and you can't do this without the others of us that need to be involved. And then throughout her book, she was constantly doing shit on her own that she told everyone else not to do. And I don't know, it was frustrating. So then the other is the Cousins O'Dwyer trilogy with Dark Witch, Shadow Spell, and Blood Magic. Like, what was I thinking when I bought them? They all sound witchy. I was not thinking. So I gave each of these 3 stars. I felt that the writing in this was incredibly stilted. It's set in Ireland and follows a group of cousins. Honestly, it kind of felt a lot like, let's take that plot from the Three Sisters Island and then just, like, recycle it and kind of tweak a couple things here and there. And then you got this trilogy. And then it felt almost like Nora Roberts decided that because it was set in Ireland, Irish people talk apparently incredibly different and stilted and odd, which was very frustrating to read. And then this book follows Iona. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but whatever. She's from America, so, like, she has her American accent, but then by the time you get into these 2 books, when she's only been living in Ireland for like a couple months, she talks exactly like Nora Roberts has portrayed the Irish people to talk. So it was just frustrating to read that. Like, I enjoyed it well enough and I did like the characters, but again, it was like running from something, like her disinterested family, and then Connor falls in love with an old childhood friend, whatever, and then this one again is a second chance romance with the most experienced witch, of course, which was exactly the same as the other trilogy. So I don't know, they were average, they were fine. Would I read them again? No, but I read them. Last book. I didn't read this. I DNF'd it. The Turn of the Screw by Henry James. The amount of commas in this book is batshit crazy. There could be sentences that go on for an entire paragraph just because he decided to throw in a shit ton of commas. And commas after like 3 words constantly. So I couldn't even read a sentence without getting distracted, and then I'd get to the end of the sentence and be so confused as to what in the world I just read and what's going on. So it was a struggle. I very rarely actually DNF books. Even when I hate them, I am determined to finish. But I decided it was time to stop torturing myself. With this one, there was no point to it. I was getting no enjoyment out of it. I could not even read it. I made it like, I don't even know how far I made it. I think I made it like 45 pages in, and those 45 pages took me months. There you go. I read books. 17 of them in August. I think it's been like 3 months since I posted a video. So you should tell me the most exciting thing that has happened to you in that time. And I'm sorry for this video being ages long. I should have split it into like 2. Will I do that in editing? No, I'll just cut out as much as I can so all of the reviews make no sense, but what do we expect from me? Not much else. Thanks for subscribing. Like, I hit 500 and I don't know how because I'm so shitty at posting. I'm constantly trying to work on becoming better, and then I say that and then I take like 4 months where I don't, and then I get so, I hate anxiety, but I get so anxious about like not posting that then it becomes impossible to post. It's just like reading emails. I'm so bad at responding to emails right now because I just like, my heart races and I think about like how I should respond to it when I get it, and then I just don't, and then it's so much worse the longer you take to respond, and then eventually it feels like you can't respond but you need to. Do you understand that? Maybe I'll just do some more yoga. Wow, rambling. Welcome to a classic Molly video. There's 500 of you, and you're cool. You can like this video if you enjoyed it, if you enjoy my rambling, if you're cool with the fact that I'm so inconsistent, and subscribe if you would like to see more in the future, because there actually will be more in the future, even though it hasn't seemed like it. That is everything. Finally. I will tell you right now that this video is half an hour long, and I don't want to post a half an hour long video. Can I get it under 15 minutes? I don't know, because I've rambled a lot, and good luck to me. So, I hope that you have an awesome morning, afternoon, or evening, whichever it is, wherever you are. See ya.